I have been stuck in a reading slump for a few months now. I love reading. I love books. I surround myself with them. Nothing has been holding my attention. Every book I pick up, I will get a few pages in and just feel nothing. Welcome to the reading vlog, where we are going to attempt to get me out of this reading slump and get back into reading. If you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Tay. I'm an indie author. These are my books, Venture Below and Venture Beyond. It is a YA fantasy series full of a lot of action. It's a fast-paced read. It's available on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited if you would like to support me and check them out. The link is down below. But today, we are not talking about my projects. We are not talking about writing. We are talking about reading. I have made many a TBR in the past, and last year I read this many books. Those are my GoodReads stats, that's proof. This year, excluding a few arcs that I have read and a few friends that I am beta reading for, I have read one book. That one book I read was this collection of short stories by Dostoevsky, and I read White Nights, which was really the first thing that I read this year, and then I read the rest of the short stories in that collection. And I have picked up, God, I don't even know how many books I've picked up by this point. It's gotta be a dozen books that I have tried to read and lost interest in almost immediately, and I don't think that's the book's fault by any means. They're books that in my head I should be interested in. I'm in this reading slump where nothing sounds good. The plot could be interesting, the characters could be interesting, but I just don't care. I just don't care at all. And that could have a lot to do with the fact that I have been writing like crazy. I wrote the first draft of my third book, Venture Alone, in a little over 3 weeks, which was insane of me. I am almost done with another romance project, and I may or may not have started on another fantasy project. So I have been writing like a mad woman, and I feel like that has taken up a lot of my time, a lot of my energy, a lot of my like brain capacity for the fictional world. We're going to claw my way out of this reading slump if it's the last thing that I do. I am happy to report that there is a book that I finally got over 100 pages in, and that is A Flicker in the Dark. This is a thriller. I am 141 pages into the story. For a girl who could barely get 9 pages into a book that she thought was really going to captivate her, that's crazy work. I've read a lot of thrillers in the past. I've read a lot of horror. I've read a lot of mystery, a lot of suspense. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily out of the box when it comes to thrillers. Like, this feels a lot like every other thriller I've kind of read, but the tone of the writing is what's really keeping me intrigued. Dude, my cat is losing her mind. She's trying to play with something and I don't know what it is. I'm so sorry. We're just gonna move on. If you hear her, let's just agree that we don't. I'm just gonna read a little bit of the back because the back will do a better job of explaining what's happening than me. When Chloe Davis was 12, 6 teenage girls went missing in her small Louisiana town. By the end of the summer, her own father had confessed to the crimes and was put away for life, leaving Chloe and the rest of her family to grapple with the truth and try to move forward while dealing with the aftermath. Now, 20 years later, Chloe is a psychologist in Baton Rouge and getting ready for her wedding. While she finally has a fragile grasp on the happiness she's worked so hard to achieve, she sometimes feels as out of control of her own life as the troubled teens who are her patients. So when a local teenage girl goes missing and then another, that terrifying summer comes crashing back. Is she paranoid, seeing parallels from her past that aren't actually there? Or, for the second time in her life, is Chloe about to unmask a killer? So I was like, okay, that seems like a basic, like, we get the vibe, we understand what's gonna happen, like, okay. And I will say, I feel like we're not gonna get that out of the box with who the killer is, what is happening. She also relies heavily on, so far, drugs, which again is a very common thing I've seen in thrillers before. So I don't think this is gonna be anything groundbreaking, but for me trying to get out of a reading slump, I think I'm okay with that. And I would like to feel satisfied and a little bit rewarded for getting it right. Like, it's pretty, in my head, maybe it's because I'm a writer and I've read a lot of thrillers, it's pretty obvious who's the killer and probably the direction we're gonna go in for this story. So I'm excited to read this with you. I will not spoil anything for you, but I will do my best to give you my opinion without like spoiling anything. This is the first book on our roster. I'm not gonna pick a TBR. I'm not going to. I'm not gonna go through my books and try to tell you what I'm gonna read because I don't know yet. I will be updating you as we go through. With that being said, let's get to reading A Flicker in the Dark. It's day 2 of this crazy windstorm here in New Mexico, and we're in my bedroom because it's the least loud. So I apologize. You're definitely gonna hear the wind and the ruckus, but I still wanted to give you guys an update because it has been quite a few days since the last time I spoke with you. I'm pretty sure the last time we spoke, I was reading this book, A Flicker in the Dark, and I have an update. I have a reading update. That's basically why we're here right now. I have a lot to talk to you about. So this book, I ended up giving it 3 stars on GoodReads, and I just didn't have the energy to leave a review. And I'm pretty sure somebody commented that I was reading this and was like, oh, I can't wait to like hear what you thought about it. So hopefully you're watching this video now and you can hear what I thought about it. I'm honestly really hoping the wind is not that bad for audio's sake. I really apologize if it is. I've been wanting to do this update since yesterday morning, and it has been like this non-stop, and this is honestly less violent than it's been. So that's over here. Also, honey's here and tomatoes over there. Back to talking about A Flicker in the Dark. There were multiple people that I was suspicious of, and I was right on every single account, which was kind of nice, but also this was so slow. I really truly feel like it took so long to get into the meat of the story. I just was kind of let down by the conclusion of it. It was really predictable, which is kind of what I wanted because I've been in a reading slump, but it was like too predictable. Immediately following A Flicker in the Dark, I knew I needed to read something, so I just grabbed the most attractive looking thing on my bookshelf and I picked up The Beautiful Ones. And I picked this up from a little library. I saw it there twice and I picked it up because it was there. And I started to read it and I was so disinterested. I will say the opening line is pretty captivating, but as I continued to try to read, I just lost complete interest and was like, this is just not for me. I'm gonna be donating this. Then I picked up another book that was on my stack that I have on my desk, and that was All Our Hidden Gifts. I'm pretty sure it's a YA fantasy, like adventure type story. It's about this girl who is at a private academy school. She ends up discovering this deck of tarot cards, and it like catapults her into this crazy like magical fantasy type thing. And I was like, okay, that sounds really interesting. And I was curious and I thought the cards are gonna have some mystical ability, like I just thought something was gonna happen. And so I read like the first 2 chapters and was so bored and I just was like, okay, I don't want this to come across as bad. This book just reads pretty young. I just don't think I'm the target audience. The cover is beautiful. The artwork in this is beautiful. I'm gonna donate it to a little free library and hope that somebody else will pick this up and fall in love with it. That leads us to the present moment. Last night, March 3rd, I ended up picking up Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. I have already read Wild Love by Elsie Silver and I loved that book so much. It was honestly one of my favorite books that I read last year. I had been meaning to pick up Wild Eyes. I actually started it. I read like the first 3 chapters and just didn't pick it up again. I knew the moment I fell into the story I wouldn't be able to put it down, just because that's how I felt with Wild Love. And I wasn't really in the mood for romance. I was just kind of feeling bitter and like I don't really want that right now for me. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to read. I have a couple arcs, I have some graphic novels. I was like, what do I want to do? I just opened Wild Eyes. I just opened it and I just started reading, and I didn't go to bed until 2 o'clock because I started reading that book and I got so invested. I am on chapter 19, 48% of the way into this book, and oh my god! Elsie Silver just knows how to do it. I'm on the verge of saying she might be one of my favorite romance authors. So Wild Eyes takes place back in Rose Hill, which is this cute little town in I think the Canadian mountains, and it's on this like ranch setting. In the first book, Wild Love, a man named Ford ends up falling for his best friend's sister, and he'd always been in love with her, but he always thought his best friend West would not like that idea or that concept. And in the end, it's just so sweet and wholesome. The girl in that story is Rosie, and I love Rosie. They're just so great together. And in Wild Eyes, we focus on Rosie's brother, West. Ford ends up having a pop star basically come to the ranch because he turned it into a studio. So he is I think a producer, but he records artists and like that's like his thing. And so it's a recording studio there in the middle of the Rockies, kind of like a retreat. This pop star shows up named Skylar Stone, and the way that I'm associating her in my head is she's the equivalent to like Taylor Swift. Skylar has a lot of her own problems, a lot of things that she's going through, and I love the depth that Elsie has given both characters, honestly, and specifically Skylar. The romance between her and West, I'm just obsessed with their dynamic so much. It's so good. I think I'm gonna finish this book probably today. Oh, honey, are you playing with Tomato? And I think that's the only update I really have for you. Clearly my dogs and the wind think I should be done filming. So we are gonna continue to read. Yep, that's my sign, that's my cue. I'm gonna continue to read Wild Eyes and I will give you an update. That is enough yapping. This was a really long update. Thank you for still being here. Let me know what your current read is in the comments down below. And if you're enjoying it, yes, we are done filming. We're all done. Bye. Problem horses aren't born, they're made. It is 5 o'clock and I am now 89% into Wild Eyes. I'm in chapter 40. I'm having a great time. We officially hit the like third act breakup. I feel like it's understandable. Sometimes in romance books, I feel like it doesn't fit like the characters or like the circumstances, and this fits. Like to me, it makes sense for their character arcs and like for what they've been dealing with the whole book. So I'm actually okay with it. I know how romance books end, so I know they're gonna end up together. So I'm like, okay, this is a brief pause, a brief intermission. We're facing our demons and then we're gonna come back together. So yeah, that's my little update, but I am gonna be finishing this book like within the hour. God. Yep. Final review after I literally just finished it. 5 stars. 5 stars. That was incredible. That was exactly what I needed. I did get approved for an audiobook. It's this one. So I may put that on and maybe play some Minecraft. The end. So it is now 5:50. I finished listening to that audiobook. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I have to think on it a little bit longer, but I know I wanted to put up my review on NetGalley and on GoodReads. I also have 2 graphic novels that I still need to read for NetGalley. I'm about 27% of the way through The History of Everything, and I'm 5% into the other one, so I need to read those ones really soon. Tomorrow I will fill you in on what I Am Not Jessica Chen was about, give you an idea of, you know, what the premise was, the characters, and why I ended up giving it 4 stars. I would say it's probably more like a 3.5 rounded up to 4 stars. That's all I really have to say about it in this current moment. I will see you when we get back to reading. It is Friday morning and I just got ready for the day, so I figured while I'm making my breakfast and my coffee, I could catch you up on what I've been up to since the last time I talked to you, which was last night. So yesterday, I ended up reading I Am Not Jessica Chen, and I also read this graphic novel. This is The End of Everything, I think is what this one is called. I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I did not really like it, to be honest. It's probably like a 2.5 rounded up to 3 stars, if I'm being totally honest with you. It was one of those like young adult books where you just know exactly where we're going, you know the exact messaging, like it just felt like a storyline that I've seen in TV shows or movies or other books like 1,000 other times. And then as far as I Am Not Jessica Chen goes, I stand by giving it 4 stars, like 3.5 rounded up. The premise of I Am Not Jessica Chen is that this girl named Jenna, she has a cousin named Jessica Chen who is the pinnacle of humanity. Like this girl, like she gets perfect grades, she looks perfect, she could be a model, like everything about her is perfect. She's a Heather, if you would. Jenna is considered the dollar store version of Jessica. Even in Jenna's own mind, she has said, like, people have said we looked alike, but that I'm the knockoff version. So she's been comparing herself to her cousin her whole life. Jenna and Jessica both apply to Harvard. Jenna gets the news that she did not get into Harvard, and she's like dealing with this. She's holding that like to herself, and like she doesn't want to disappoint her parents. They end up going to her aunt and uncle's house, which is where Jessica Chen lives. Jessica and her family are like, oh my gosh, we got the news. Jessica got into Harvard. Oh my God. And they're all celebrating. They're all so excited for Jessica. And then her aunt is like, oh, Jenna, you should have gotten the email too. And they're all like, yes, let's record. Let's like get our phones out because we didn't get to record Jessica's reaction. They're all waiting like to get her reaction to this acceptance email from Harvard. And she's like, I didn't get in. And the whole family is just like, oh, that's so awkward. And it's like, yeah, read the room, guys. She was obviously acting like she didn't get in. Another character that I should mention is a guy named Aaron. Is his name Aaron? I think so. He is like a family friend. He's been around the family like all of their lives. His dad is best friends with Jenna's dad. Sadly, Aaron's mom had passed away really tragically, and that forced his dad into a huge depressive slump. And basically Aaron just kind of got adopted. He's just been with this family for a very, very long time, and like they've all been best friends. They've been like this. Something happened between him and Jenna. He basically rejected her and he left the country. He went to Paris for a like doctor program for a year, and he just came back that night that they had dinner. All 3 of the teenagers, Jessica, Jenna, and Aaron, go outside. A shooting star passes by. Can you see where this is going? Jenna wishes that she was Jessica Chen, and she wakes up as Jessica Chen. So obviously a lot goes on. She ends up living the life of her cousin. As this is happening, as she is living her cousin's life, her own life as Jenna Chen is completely dissolving. Like people are forgetting her, the things that she once owned, the places that she once went, like everything is basically being erased. So her identity as Jenna Chen is erasing while she is stepping into being Jessica. She's learning that being Jessica is actually a lot harder and doesn't come as naturally as she once thought it did. The messaging is very much like, be who you are, embrace yourself, don't compare yourself, that's the thief of joy, that type of messaging. I actually really liked it. I really enjoyed the romance between Aaron and Jenna, who is in Jessica's body. I really, really liked that, to be honest. It was definitely one of those, like, at every corner Aaron was showing up, and I wasn't that mad about it. That aspect of it kind of got like a little, but I really liked the writing style too, so I will totally be open to reading more by that author. I'm gonna eat my breakfast, and then I'm gonna chat with you about what we're gonna do today, because there's a lot going on this beautiful Friday. I'll catch up with you after that. think I might take my poetry collection out of my closet and put it on my bedside. So then I can see them every day, but then also I can just pick up a poetry book like before I go to bed or something. Because I really miss reading poetry, but they're like tucked so deep into my closet that I just haven't been reaching for them at all. New angle unlocked. You're on my bedside table now. Then I have these oddly shaped poetry books, and I have read this one. I also read this one, which has one of my favorite poems of all time in it. I annotated the hell out of this one. Then I have Ocean Mother, which is like completely oddly shaped and won't like fit over there. Ooh, I wonder if I could put it behind. If I can kind of do like a, you know? Does that look like ass? That's okay. You know? I just don't want them to fall or something, so I'm gonna keep them here. Got my bear spray in case of an intruder, and no, I'm not kidding. That is my bedside. We fit my poetry books. Woo! Hi there, baby kitty. Hello friends, it is March 8th. I ended up having to edit my video all day on Friday, and today I did a lot of writing and was focusing on my own book and rereading Venture Alone. And I have to end the vlog here. That means I'm starting a new reading vlog tomorrow, and I will be picking up Legendborn as well as a few other incredible books, some classics that I've been meaning to pick up. I'm so feral for so many books, and I am excited to be filming some reading vlogs again. I have some really exciting videos coming out soon, some collaborations, some 24-hour readathons, so I recommend subscribing and turning on post notifications so you can get notified whenever those videos go live and when I go live. I also want to give a huge shout out to my members. I love you guys so much. Your support means the world to me. If you want to be a member, the link is down below. Make sure to give this video a like if you liked it. Comment a book emoji so I know that you stuck around to the end. With all that being said, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!